time.
Here we go. One more drink.
Here we are, David, doing two of your favorite things, enjoying a nice cocktail and talking movies.
Which is all I've ever wanted to do with my life.
Well, what did you think of American Sniper? You're a military vet. What did you make of that movie?
I think it was an even-handed approach to a very significant part of American history, and a good portrait of a kind of a person that gets shaped by American culture. And I think the film did it even-handedly and objectively. I think Bradley Cooper's performance was extraordinary, and I thought there were some scenes, for example, the scene where whether the kid's going to pick up the gun or not, and he says, "Don't pick up the gun." Clint Eastwood, in his greatest films, and I don't regard this as one of his greatest films, but a very good film, in his greatest films like Unforgiven, Mystic River, and $1 Million Baby, really shows people in ethical, moral conflict. And
Well, don't forget Gran Torino. Come on.
well, that's true too. I don't think that's one of the top three, but you're right. That's another way.
Love that movie.
And so this film does that. It's a pure Clint Eastwood film, where you do have a person. He doesn't express. The only place where he shows his conflict is really in the scene where he's shooting the kid.
Right.
But it's there, and it's so brought up by the culture. And again, it's one of the things I think. I think it's largely an apolitical film, not a political film, with the way it's being thought of. And I think it's Eastwood's skill. He's portraying the kind of character that can emerge, and he did a heroic thing. He saved an awful lot of people.
Yes.
But I don't think it's a pro-war or a pro, I think it's just a great portrait of a very significant person, kind of person.
A hero, an American hero.
Yep.
I mean, undisputed American hero. And these idiots who have the balls to call him a coward just outrage me. I had the privilege of knowing Chris Kyle for a very short period before he died. 3 weeks before he died, we were actually talking about doing things together. He's an extraordinary person and an extraordinary human being. He was God, country, family. Very simple, very straightforward, and that was just...
With no ambiguity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the way they took those tender moments between him and his wife, his struggle, the impact of his post-traumatic stress syndrome, which is just so incredibly important for us to be paying attention to this with our returning veterans. And for one thing, this film is very, very powerful in that respect, in bringing attention to this very important cause.
Well, since I've been part of the mental health process with the Veterans Clinic here, I'm sort of familiar with that. Although I have to admit, a few years ago, the Jeremy Renner scene in Hurt Locker, when he goes to the supermarket, he's in trouble of adjusting to civilian life. He needs to get back into war. I mean, it condensed that more effectively than the returning scenes. Here, I think from a dramatic standpoint, you had the 4 tours. Do we need all 4 tours?
You tired of the action scenes?
Yeah, and the scenes.
Felt like it was too much.
And the scenes, okay, there was a repetition factor, and only toward the end, when actually something that's big with Clint Eastwood, the revenge motif comes in. I'm going to get the guy who killed, the other sniper, who killed my friend, who he died there on the operating table, and finds out. Those kinds of things which come into dramatic play.
Mm-hmm. Very powerful. Very important film.
It is. And it's a film that will be talked about for years to come. But most of Clint Eastwood's films raise that kind of controversy.
The interesting thing about it is Bradley Cooper and company had acquired the rights to his story before he died. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Chris Kyle had read the first draft of the screenplay just days before he was killed. Yep, absolutely amazing. And it was a little eerie at the end of the movies. I love the way Clint Eastwood, again, spoiler alert, they rolled the credits over total silence, which is very, very unusual. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen it before. And in the credits is Chris Kyle, associate producer, and it just gives you the goosebumps. It was amazing. And Bradley Cooper, he transformed himself so remarkably for that film. If you look at him now with all the awards and all the attention he's getting as potentially best actor, he looks he's probably dropped 30, 40 pounds. He's so sleek. He's, not that rough and tumble Texas American hero that he was in American Sniper. And that's a real credit to his acting ability.
Yeah. I think, though, it is, I know that people some people think of it as too patriotic. I think it's a very even-handed thing. It's a portrait, I think, a very accurate portrait of a man brought up in gun culture, really brought up to believe in patriotism, and that's because the film shows that. It also showed a certain degree of ambiguity. There's nothing around him. I think it was a very even-handed, well-done film, and with Bradley Cooper being incredible. Now, so what we bring of our own politics or our own attitudes toward the subject is less important than what Clint Eastwood's doing with the film. There are some incredible moments in that film.
Well, as always, David, this has been fantastic. I just love talking movies with you.
Me too.
We'll keep the conversation going. See you next time on Clyler's Critiques with Joan and David.